Getting your toes wet with objects and scenes. That's enough theory. Time to get practical. To really understand how these windows work and what you need to do to get started, the best thing to do is to start building something. Once you do that, you will see firsthand how everything works together and how you'll manage your workflow once you get developing. Adding sprites. To get started then, let's begin by adding our first game object. That is going to be a simple 2D square. Unlike working with 3D objects, there are no simple shapes for you to insert in 2D. That means that any 2D objects you introduce must be created first as sprites. Creating a square is simple enough, though. We can literally start a new MS Paint file, resize it to 50 by 50 pixels, and then just fill the space with a single block color. Save that as a PNG file and drag it from wherever you saved it into your project folder. Call it square for simplicity. You can see my square in figure 3 to 5. Figure 3 to 5, square. Not quite triple A graphics. To help us get into good habits early on, we'll first create a folder in our project specifically for sprites. And in the spirit of good habits and good nomenclature, we'll call the folder sprites. To do this, right-click your Assets folder in the project window and then go to Create Folder, Figure 3 to 6, and name the folder Sprites. To do this, right-click your Assets folder in the project window and then go to Create Folder, Figure 3 to 6, and name the folder Sprites. It should look like Figure 3 to 7 once you're finished. 44. Figure 3 to 6. Creating new folders is very simple. Figure 3 to 7. Your Sprites folder should look like this. It's a folder. 45. As we go, we'll be creating more folders for our scripts, sounds, scenes, and more. It's smart to create lots of folders to help keep everything separate and so we can quickly retrieve the type of file we need at any given time. Once you've made that folder, you can simply drag the square.png file from Windows Explorer into your Sprites folder. Note that at any time, you'll also be able to right-click your project window and select Show in Explorer. This will show you the assets directory within your project, and anything you put in here will show up in the project window once you refresh the view. With that, the sprite is now a part of your project. And you can use the exact same process whether you want to add sprites of trees, collectibles, enemies, or anything else into your levels. It really is that simple. 2 ways to introduce game objects. There are 2 ways to add this simple game object into the scene, and we're going to go through both of them here because I feel it's a good learning opportunity. The most straightforward way is simply to click the sprite in your project window and then drag it straight into your scene and drop it. You'll then see that it appears in your scene view and also that it's listed in your hierarchy on the right, figure 3 to 8. If it's selected, details about the square will show in your inspector window as well. Click your game view and you'll see that square against a different shade of blue in the background. Figure 3 to 8. The scene, now with the square. 46. The other way to add sprites like this to your scene is to head over to the top menu and then click Game Object to the Object Sprite, figure 3 to 9. When you do this, a new sprite will appear in your hierarchy window, but you won't be able to see it in the scene view because it currently doesn't have an image file associated with it. It will have a translucent circle around its coordinates, however, whenever it's selected. Figure 3 to 9. The second way to insert your sprite. With new sprite selected in the hierarchy, open up the inspector window and notice the section called Sprite Rendered. In here, the first line says, Sprite, None, Sprite. You can simply drag and drop your square file into here or you can click the small circular button next to the box to choose it from a file selector dialog, figure 3 to 10. 47. Figure 3 to 10. Using the sprite renderer. While you're in the inspector, Why not also take this opportunity to change the name of your second sprite, currently new sprite, to something more interesting, like Square 2. Try both these methods and you'll have two different sprites on the screen in your scene window, Square 1 and Square 2. It should look like Figure 3 to 11. 48. Figure 3 to 11. If it looks something like this, you're doing well. Manipulating game objects. As you might have guessed already, you can very easily move your new sprites around in the scene view simply by clicking them and dragging them around the screen. As you do this, you'll notice that the coordinates change in the inspector. Under Transform, the X and Y values of position change as you move the square, as I have done in Figure 3 to 12. 49. Figure 3 to 12. Change the X and Y coordinates.